To my questions now, first I want to thank both of you and your agencies for your response recently in Louisiana. It's been very proactive and very aggressive, and we appreciate that. And I think all of our goals is to make that the new normal in every state after every disaster from now on. Let me go back to the RISE Act. One significant provision in the RISE Act was the Recovery Opportunity Loan Program. And that's a big priority of mine in the RISE Act, and we want to get that up and going. Now, we were concerned when we were writing the RISE Act that if you look at, say, the 2008 Farm Bill with disaster programs in it, like the Immediate Disaster Assistance Program, that's still not implemented. It's still without regs, without guidance, basically with no substantial action, Mr. Kramer, from the SBA. We don't want that to happen. It shouldn't be happening there. We certainly don't want it to happen in the Recovery Opportunity Loan Program. For that reason, one thing we did is design and stand up that Recovery Opportunity Loan Program on the existing 7A loan program platform, which should mean the process to implementation should be a lot quicker. So what's the update on that, and what is a specific timeline on this implementation of the Recovery Opportunity Loan Program?
Well, thank you, Senator Vitter, and I think a lot of my response will agree with some of what you just said. I think the Recovery Opportunity Loan Program in the RISE Act has a good opportunity for success, in great part because of what you just said about the fact that it's an idea built upon our existing 7A loan platform. Outside of the straight disaster loan context, most of our other business finance programs operate as guarantees where we're not making the loans. And so we need a willing partner, that bank that is going to go out and make a loan to a small business that we then guarantee, which takes some of our direct control out of that system. And I'll talk about, the IDAP, EDAP, and PDAP in a second, which is, I think, part of the frustration we're running into in getting those up and running. On Recovery Opportunity, though, to make sure that I answer your question up front, we are looking right now at modeling how we can get the regulations written on this. I would expect that sometime this summer we will have regulations out on Recovery Opportunity. Frankly, I will tell you the one issue that we're trying to get through right now is the opportunity in the Recovery Opportunity loans is that it takes a normal 7A loan and increases our guarantee up from what is usually 50% to 85%. And I think we try to use that 35% to incentivize the banks to become partners in helping us in disaster response, which is a great idea. At the same time, though, our fees have to remain the same, and we have to operate that program at zero subsidy. So in order to roll that out, we need to do the modeling to make sure that we can take on that additional guarantee amount without changing the fee structure of the subsidy amount. But we're doing that work right now. Once we figure that out, will lead us to writing regulations, which we expect to do this summer. And
so this summer would be the end of that whole process?
I think the end of the process where we've looked at that and we are then writing the regulations and then putting them into a clearance process and putting them out for comment. So
I don't want to eat up all my time on this, but could you follow up in writing with a schedule of the entire rollout process to completion of this? My experience in life with myself, among others, is that you will never stay on a reasonable schedule unless you first have a reasonable schedule. I mean, acknowledge it, a goal. And so if you can give that to us in writing, that'll be a great step on, with regard to staying on some reasonable schedule. Another big concern that we tried to address in the RISE Act certainly comes out of my Katrina and Rita experience. One of the most frustrating things I saw was enormous, mostly FEMA dollars coming into Louisiana for all sorts of things like debris removal, just to take an obvious category, and almost all of it going to mega contracts, to mega firms outside Louisiana, and the only Louisiana small business participation was 6 rungs of subcontracts down, pennies on the dollar. And we did some analysis comparing that, for instance, to local jurisdictions that had pre-existing debris removal contracts with local firms. And those were much more efficient, much lower cost for the taxpayer, much bigger positive impact for local businesses, which helped with the recovery. So we tried to address that in the RISE Act. Going back to Mr. Kramer, there's been real delay in SBA's formulation of guidelines for federal agencies to meet that local requirement. What's the cause for delay? How are we going to break through that?
So on that specific provision, we do have a draft of rules that we're currently consulting with the FAR Council, because eventually the way that we expect that process to go is we would take the regulations on the local contracting preference and incorporate that into the general federal procurement policy rules. And so we're in that stage of the discussion right now with them to get those provisions implemented.
Okay. Again, if you could follow up with a specific timeline that we can stick to, because this is another big priority of many members on this committee and otherwise. Okay.